Hey everyone, Mulligan here, and welcome to another episode of Eternal Heirs. For those new, this is a series where we take a look at some mistakes I make and attempt to educate others on what the correct decision is in a given situation. Typically, each episode focuses on a specific archetype. This episode is going to be a little spicier. We'll be looking at a Xenan Mill brew that I started working on when the Dusk Road first released. As always, the link to the deck will be in the video description. Let's jump in. First up is a game against Rural Juror, who is on Burn Queen, though I never got to see if they were of the royal variety with Vicious Highwayman. Anyway, I actually managed to stabilize early and get into the mid game without getting pressured. Then Rural Juror drops 2 Champions of Chaos in order to set up for the Bandit Queen on the following turn. Let's listen in and see how I handle this situation, as well as what plays out on the next turn. Okay, well, that happened. Rapid shot. I should have waited, maybe? He doesn't want to use his combat trick. I mean, it looks like it's rapid shot, so... You know what sucks? If I don't block, then I could die to, what do you call it? Just do it this way. Like, we could ult to 10 and then we wouldn't die. We take 9 this way, I go to 6. If it's rapid shot, I go to 2. Yeah, it's better to block the Bandit Queen, because either way I take 9. Just keep both our life gain cards safe. Alright, Luckyfoot, you have a good one. Have a good rest. Have a good night. Hope to see you again. So I should have waited to use removal and declared no blocks first on the Bandit Queen turn. That way, I could try to get my opponent to commit their combat trick and blow them out with removal. Now, in general, good players won't fall for something like that, but it can be worth getting that extra edge if someone's playing sloppy. Also, on the following turn, I should have only blocked with Lunar Magus and gave him up, not Duskwalker. That way I could potentially use the ultimate on Dream Snatcher for massive life gain, which is important in this matchup. There was no pause on the previous turn at 1 power, so the combat trick they were holding was Rapid Shot and not Torch. The second game we'll be looking at is against Cryax, who is on Praxis tokens. I've been power screwed the whole game, but my opponent hasn't put on a ton of pressure yet. A Humbug Swarm comes down after a Zenan Obelisk, and I finally managed to play a card, Lunar Magus. Cryax swings in, so let's listen in and see what happens. Oh, they did have a pause. Wow. I thought they didn't. I guess they tapped out. That's what it was. Jeez. I could have... See, I ended up just taking 6 straight up. Instead of, oh, man. Feels super bad. So I blocked thinking they had no torch due to no pause on the previous turn, but they had no power open at that time. I did quickly realize my mistake. I should have not blocked at all and took the full 8 damage because I would gain 4 back with Lunar Magus due to Nightfall. The line I took meant I just took 6 damage outright. Despite getting a torch out of hand, I was still starved for power and needed to slow the game down as much as possible to try and draw power. I needed to value the Lunar Magus a lot more than I did. Finally, we've got a game against Synicist, who was on Rano plate. They got off to a pretty fast start, despite being stuck on 2 power. So the beauty of aggro is showing in full display here. The double Rano Outlaws are what have me spooked, especially since I already lost my Dream Snatcher to the first one. I play Steward of the Past on turn 4 and my opponent swings with everything. Let's see what I do. I'll take my chances. We want to try to get rid of the Warcry at some point. Alright, here's another one. Unlikely he's going to have one for the rest of the game. I wanted to showcase this because a lot of people in chat afterwards were saying I should have blocked the Steady Marshal and not Rano Outlaw. I kept trying to justify my decision to block Outlaw since I already saw Finest Hour prior. But in hindsight, this was a misplay. There are a few things going on here. The obvious reason to block Marshal was in case there was another combat trick, and my opponent was definitely playing like they had one since they attacked with everything. The reason behind me blocking Rano Outlaw was because I was trying to get rid of the Warcry units so my opponent wouldn't snowball into a win. But Rano doesn't rely on Warcry as much these days. So the block was a case of relying on an old strategy that, while still good, isn't quite as effective as it once was. The bigger issue was me completely forgetting that there was a more important resource I needed to keep track of: life total. Rano is an aggro deck at the end of the day. As the Zenan player using a slower control deck, preserving your life total against it is even more important than stopping the Warcry train. Zenan has the removal to kill their units no matter how big they get. So this was a simple mistake, but I wanted to include it because I still need to learn myself, and I'm willing to eat humble pie when the situation calls for it. But I still want to know what you guys would have done. Let me know in the comments section below. That's it for this episode of Eternal Errors. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to leave a like if you liked the video. If you would have handled any situation shown today differently, or if you have any ideas for this series, let me know in the comments section below. Feedback is appreciated. For those new, if you liked what you saw, feel free to check out my previous episodes in this series by clicking the link on your screen. And consider subscribing to the channel if you don't want to miss future episodes. Thanks again for taking time out of your day to watch this, and I'll see you all soon. Take care.